What is up, guys? So in this video we're going to make a responsive nav bar that's mobile first and start configuring the routes for our application. So right now when our user's logged in, they just see a text on their screen that says logged in, and that's pretty lame, so let's fix that. So instead of that, we're going to make a component that will only render when our user signed in. It's going to be called signedinapp.jsx. I'm going to use React snippets to make this process faster. And we're going to want to render that. So signed in app, just like that. And let's make this a styled component. So let's make a file signedinapp.style.js. And let's import styled components and make the styled component here. It's going to be a div, and we're going to want to export this. And we're going to style this later. So for now, we're just going to put this in here. Perfect. And now let's do the nav bar. So we're going to have our signed in app, and inside of it is going to be a nav bar. So let's make the nav component. And let's make that a styled component as well. And this is going to be a div container, and inside of it will live our navs. So let's import that from the file we just made. Perfect. All right, and let's render our nav. Just like that. All right, cool. So our nav bar is gonna have, first of all, a hamburger button, and it's gonna be an I tag. And let's make a media query that says if the screen is at least 600 pixels, then the display is none. And let's make the font size of this like 2 rem, right? And let's actually use this. So hamburger button, and we're gonna have to export this. So you can import it here, right? And this is gonna have a class name of FASFA-bars, and this is gonna be the hamburger menu that Font Awesome gives us. Right, so here we're rendering the nav, hamburger button, and it's not rendering because the screen is more than 600, but when we go to mobile, it's right there. Perfect. All right, so let's do a position of absolute on this, a top of 0, a left of 0, and a margin of 1 rem. That looks great. And actually, I think you can do on click on I tags. Let's just test it out. So yeah, it does have an on click, so we don't really gotta make it a button. And that's good because browsers usually make it a hard time to style buttons. They want to make their own styles, and less code for us is a good thing. So let's make a state that'll open and close our navbar. Nav open and set nav equals use state, and it's going to default to false. So when we press this, it's going to set nav and to the opposite of what the current value is. Okay. And so we have our hamburger button here. Now let's make our mobile navbar. We're going to call it mobile menu style.nav. And let's do a desktop one. And import those two buddies here. All right, and inside of these we'll live some link tags. So let's import the links from React Router DOM. And we're gonna have 3 of them. And this one is gonna be like a title, and it's just gonna link us back to the home page of our application. Right, and so this one is gonna say feed, and it's gonna do the same thing, but I want to wrap this in a p paragraph tag. And this one will be linking to our account. Perfect. And actually, ooh, what did I just do? Okay. And actually, it's going to be the same setup for our desktop menu. So just like that, but let's comment that out for now. Perfect. All right, so the mobile menu, we're gonna pass down the props called open, nav, open. Let's see how everything looks. Just how we want it. Okay. So let's go here to our mobile menu. And first of all, display flex and a media query. Basically, it's going to say if our screen is at least 600 pixels, then we're going to want to do a display of none. And let's give this a background color. Let's access the themes that we set up in the previous episodes. And we're going to want to set it to elevation 2. So here we can see it's rendering only when it's 600. So that's our mobile nav. And let's make it a position of absolute with a top of 0 bottom of 0, left of 0, and a width of 35%. Perfect. Let's do flex direction column. Okay, and the hamburger menu needs to have a z-index of 2, so it's always on top. This, we need to give it a padding of 3 rem top and bottom and 0.5 rem on the sides. Maybe that 3 can be 4. Okay, and let's configure the anchor tags inside of this thing. So the color of these are going to be white. The text decoration is none, right? Actually, I do want them to be underlined, but the first child, which is our title, I don't want it to be underlined, just like that. So let's give this a gap of 2 rem. And let's do a text align center. Oh, what? Center. Perfect. And a font size of 1.5 rem. It's a tad too big. Looks good to me. And a font weight of bold. Perfect. Okay, and a transform of translate X. And this is where we're going to access that open prop that we passed in. So let's access that. So if open is true, then we want to do translate X of 0%. And otherwise, we want to do negative 100%. And so let's make it that you can actually open and close, but first let's add a transition of the transform, 150 milliseconds, ease in. And let's go in here. And yeah, we already did that, so perfect. All right, that looks great to me. If you have any suggestions on how we should do it differently, you let me know in the comments, but I'm pretty sure this looks great to me. So, and this certainly isn't a video based on CSS, so this is more than good enough. Now let's do that. When you click on it, it closes the nav bar. That's the last step for our mobile nav bar. And that's pretty simple. Just give it an on click. And when you click on it, set the nav to false. And we're just gonna paste this. So when you click on it, it closes it, and if you look at the top, it's taking us back to the path that we asked for. So that's our mobile menu. Now let's go in desktop mode and uncomment all this, right? Okay. Let's get to work on the desktop menu. So it's going to be the same, except if it's less than 600, we don't want to show it. and this is also going to be the same. A display flex and a background color is the same color. And this will also be the same. Okay. So we're going to do a width of 100% and a height of 15%. So let's take a look. Look for flex right here. Okay. So that being said, we get the first child and we do a margin right of auto. And that'll push all the rest of them to the far right. Let's do a gap of 2 rem between them. Let's do a font size of 3 rem. Might be too much, way too much. Okay, something like 1.5 works. And let's do in align items to the center so they're centered vertically, and a text align to the center. Looks better now. And let's add a padding of 1 rem, 2 rem, top and bottom. And the width, let's do max width actually, so it doesn't exceed the width of the screen. And this already looks pretty good. We could add a little bit more of a gap between all these things, right? And no, we're still not done. So basically here we want to make all of them text or decoration none, but then the hover we want them to have an underline, because you can't hover on mobile but you sure can on desktop. So but on the first child we don't want it to even underline, because it's not really a button, it's just there in case you click it, it does something, but it's not meant to be clicked. It's mostly these are supposed to be clicked. So this is looking great. Now let's make some routes. So we click on this and it changes our path, but we don't really see anything. So let's do that. We got our nav set up, so let's go back in our signed in app and make some routes with React Router. So, okay, when we're at the path of just the home, we want to render the word feed. Actually, let's do it the new way. And let's just make the components now. And when we're at account, so let's make the components that we're going to render. One is going to be feed.jsx. One is going to be account.jsx. Okay, so here they have a new way of doing it. You do the element and you stick the element in JSX here. So this is going to be the account element, and this one is going to be the feed. Perfect. Let's try it out. So we're at account, feed, account, feed, account, feed. Perfect. So yeah, I think this was a pretty long episode, but we got it all done. It's responsive. see. And yeah, we'll obviously add some padding to this next episode. Next episode we're gonna render the content on the page, the actual content. We're gonna start rendering that, and I'll see you then. So thanks for watching. Have a good day.